The Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 12:36. Our next case is going to be Mr. Stephen Munzey. Mr. Munzey, would you please give us your full name and DOC number?
My name is Stephen Munzey, 106509.
Thank you very much, Mr. Munzey. Let me explain our process to you. First, we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. And then the board, I'm going to read some information into the record. Then the board's going to conduct a parole interview with you. And at the appropriate time, we'll allow those persons who wish to have input to speak. Speaking on your behalf today is Mr. Kerry Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project, Miss Amy Myers with the Louisiana Parole Project, and Miss Leanne Cabanis, who is your cousin. At the end, you'll be allowed to make a brief statement before the board votes. Do you understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Stephen Munzey, docket DOC number 106509, date of birth 12/11/1953. He's a fourth class offender. He has a parole eligibility date of September the 27th of 2016. He has an adjusted good time date of December the 27th of 2039 and a full term date of September the 26th of 2046. He is currently serving a 50-year sentence on the charges of forgery and armed robbery, having been sentenced on the forgery on October the 20th of 1997 and on the armed robbery on April the 29th of 1998. Mr. Munzey, to your knowledge, is all of that information basically correct?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Ms. Pearl Wise. She will begin our questioning. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes,
Good
sir.
afternoon, sir. Good afternoon. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
That's a good question. Well, I'm in a wheelchair. But in a sense, this wheelchair has hollowed me all the way out. I mean, it's made me ask for help from people, which I did not do ever. And I mean, it's just, I've learned how to live a different way of life.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I read your record. How for the record, how long you been in jail?
27 years, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay, and how old are you today?
69.
And you're 69 years of age. When I look at the records, you've been a Pride member since July of 2000. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You worked, you taught carpentry for a while at the institution. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You was on the paint crew for 20 years. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you've been unable to work since like 2017. Is that about right?
Sounds, that's close. I don't know.
Okay, well, that's what they wrote down. See, you had a hearing in March of 2020 and you were denied. Is that correct? You recall that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in the 27 years, you've had 8 write-ups. Is that about right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, I just want to put on the record there is some law enforcement opposition. There's nothing you can do about it. I'm just stating it for the record. And one DA is unopposed because that DA said you served this whole time. I think that was the forgery charge when you got 10 years. So that DA was unopposed. You took victim impact training. You completed that in December of 22. Can you tell me 1 or 2 things you learned in victim impact training?
Well, I sure can. It made me realize the hurt and stress that I put on other people, because I have been robbed before. And but after taking that class, it really made me think about what I did. Because I mean, I hurt other people, and I'm just not one to hurt other people, but I was on alcohol and drugs. I mean, all the way to the max on alcohol and drugs.
Okay.
And of course, I can't blame nobody but me for that, because I'm the one that did it, not nobody else.
Good. And on your alcohol and drugs, the records I have, you tell me this correct or not, you've been attending AA and NA about twice a week.
Yes, ma'am. I have.
What you getting out of that? What you get out of that?
Well, what I'm getting out of it is how to stay straight, how not to, well, it's all about new faces and new places, basically. I mean, you just can't be around. If you're an addict, you're an addict. If you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic, always. It's just that you don't stop being that, because you're always gonna be that. And I know from them and other programs that I've taken that what my triggers are. And I can't be around, I just can't be around the trigger, because I don't want to go back to doing that. I'm too old for, number one, I'm too old for this prison life. I mean, it's just that this is for youngsters, and I'd about spent half my life in here already.
Okay. Now, tell me this. Thank you for your answer. It sounds like you have really thought about this. You have figured some things out, and I'm glad to hear that. There's some plans in the file about you going to the villa. Are you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
You okay with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I just wanted to make sure you felt okay about that, because a lot of times we can tell you about doing something we think is a good idea, but I want to know what you thought about it.
Well, my lawyer, she talks to me about this, about different things all the time, and she lays it out just like it is, and I agree with it. I mean, I need that. I mean, I'm too old to start again.
All right. And you've learned to ask for help. That's a great gift. That's a great gift. Well, thank you for answering my question. Let's hear from the warden. Warden, what you want to share with us about Mr. Stevens?
Mr. Munzey is a minimum level trustee here at the institution. He has a low type of risk score. My encounters with him have always been positive. He's always had a positive attitude. Always liked to work anything we needed him to do around the prison. He was, one of the first ones we'll call on. So he's always worked well with the staff at the institution. There is noted in his file, he have tried on several occasions to attain his high set. But there is a certified letter in his record that deemed him incapable of doing so because of his disability. And his record is accurate. It's been about since 2017 since he's been able to work, but he has maintained a positive attitude and outlook on things. So he's doing extremely well here at the prison. He in recent years have had some medical issues that he's working through, but other than that, he's on the right track.
Thank you, Warden. That's all I had, Chairman.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from your supporters. Mr. Kerry Myers.
Yes, good afternoon. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. As you know, Mr. Munzey is coming to you after a denial in 2020. Since that time, his medical issues have exacerbated. He did lose a leg. But as you can see, he is, he has full faculties and communicates well. Ms. Myers has talked to him about the villa. We have discussed this also with the institution. Should he be granted about placing him there in the villa? Parole Project will continue to provide reentry support while he's there. making sure he's connected to all services that he's eligible for. It's a possibility he may be eligible for Social Security, if at the least SSI. So we'll make sure that those things are put in place, and even though he'll be at the villa, we'll continue to support him based on his age, his Class A trustee status, his disciplinary record. Certainly, Mr. Munzey could serve everyone better by serving his time outside of the facility in the villa, and Parole Project will continue to support him.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Appreciate your comments. Ms. Leanne Cabins. I think you're on mute, ma'am.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay. I am Steve's first cousin. I'm 65 years old. I've known him my whole life. We used to play together at my grandmother's when I was young. I had loving, wonderful parents who guided me and taught me the skills to be successful in life. Steve didn't have that. A lot of the specifics were withheld from me as a child. I'm sure my parents didn't want me to know what kind of life Steve was dealing with. And some of the things I didn't find out until much later, but he didn't have the advantages that I had growing up. His parents, there was a lack of love. There was no guidance. And I think Steve suffered for it a lot. I've visited him since I was a teenager, since he was in juvenile detention on Greenville Springs Road. My mom and dad and I have visited him our whole lives. My dad passed away 3 years ago. And I think Daddy was a really good influence on Steve. Steve loved my dad and Dad loved Steve. I've seen Steve mellow a lot through the years. He's sober, he's given his life to Christ, and he has expressed to me that he wants to help young people so they won't end up like he has. I love him very much, and I would like to see him in a facility where he can get some quality health care. He's kind, he's such a kind person at heart. And I would just like to see him, I would like to be able to see him outside of the prison facility.
Thank you, Ms. Cabins. Appreciate your comments. We also have Ms. Linda Felso. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing her name correctly, and she's there, I think, as simply as an observer.
Right.
Okay. Ms. Myers, I assume you want Mr. Munzey to talk, and then you'll close out for us.
Yes, please, sir. Thank
Okay.
you.
Mr. Munzey, is there anything you'd like to tell the board before we let Ms. Myers close out and then we vote?
Yes, sir. I just want y'all to know that y'all have made a believer out of me as far as doing crime. I did what I did on purpose to come to prison because I had to get off of drugs and alcohol because I just did not, living on the streets, sleeping in here, sleeping out there, or sleeping in the back LSU Union or up on the roof or something like that. I got tired of it. It's just not my lifestyle. And I just want y'all to know that I will not commit no more crimes. I just want to live out my few years left.
Thank you, Mr. Munzey. We appreciate your comments. Ms. Myers, if you close out for us.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. In the 4 hours that I've been sitting here in the visiting area, I've spoken to 6 different DOC officials that have all spoken very highly of Mr. Munzey, including Warden Thomas, who's sitting here next to me, Lieutenant Colonel Williams, Major Butler, Sergeant Miss Knighton, Dorm Sergeant Miss Kane, and Master Sergeant Miss Harrell. They all had lovely things to say to Mr. Munzey, wishing him well and luck in this hearing. Since the denial in 2020, Mr. Munzey has faithfully followed the guidance that Mr. Roche gave him about completing more programming. Besides for the victim impact that he told Ms. Wise about, He's also done the Values of a Man, the Mock Parole Board course, and the Gentleman Enlightenment Movement. Mr. Munzey's future health costs are likely to be very high. He has a range of different medical conditions, and there is a risk that he will lose his other leg. Being able to receive consistent treatment at Villa Feliciana will definitely alleviate that risk and help him greatly. Mr. Munzey is very clear about his sobriety, even though he has some confusion about dates and things like that. The sobriety issue is very clear in his mind. He has a plan to attend AA meetings through Villa Feliciana, and Miss Linda Felcher behind me, Parole Project, and Miss Leanne, we're all going to be there to encourage him and to assist him with that. As a 69-year-old man, Mr. Munzey has outgrown criminal behavior, and he completed those programs despite very serious health conditions. So given this progress, I pray that you grant Mr. Munzey parole today. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, I just want to say, Mr. Munzey, you made a believer out of me. My vote is to grant because of the outstanding comments from the warden, your overall good institutional record, and you have an excellent transition plan to the villa. I concur. I think you ought to do the AA meetings at least 2 times a week. And you're a good talker, and I want you to share your testimony. Tell about how you were homeless and drugs and all of that. However you get to share your testimony, share it. That is my vote.
Thank you, Ms. Wise. Mr. Freeman?
I also vote to grant with your release to the villa.
Mr. Munzey, it's a pleasure to have interviewed you today, listened to your interview. My vote likewise is the same, to grant Villa with 2 AA meetings per week. And as Ms. Wise suggested, we would love to see you give back to the community by talking about your experiences to other people, so it may prevent them from following in the same category. So good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Congratulations.